computer. Go
Acorn
team, go.
before. Hi, ladies. Happy New Year. First of all, I just really quickly want to say our group hit 1,000 women. So the Facebook group. So yay on that. Thank you for everybody who's participated. Thank you, Majsan, for getting everything set up and doing the little, icon. Let's keep pushing it and keep getting it out there. So yay. Very excited. And Mizon's going to teach a good thing today. We all need a reboot. It's January 8th. I already feel like I need a reboot. So, yes, because this is not starting out how it's supposed to, but that's okay. We keep going, right?
Mhm. Can we like talk about how I had a meltdown last night? And
Oh,
it's
no.
only the what?
It's
The
only the
7th
8th.
of January. I was like laying in my living room just like
Your
ah
weekend.
last night.
I'm
So
telling you, y'all. Oh my God. But this is what happens. But this is why we have a group. We keep going. We move forward and one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time. So it's okay. We're here. We got a whole year. It's
yeah.
good.
So everybody, welcome to the inaugural 2026 call for the Women of Reels hosting our Grow Your Business Mastermind. My name is Cassandra. This is my little annoyance named Phaedra. We appreciate you all being here today. We're super excited to kick off
Yes.
2026 and really like make it an amazing year. And what a better way to do that than to have someone who has kicked butt and taken names in the Washington market on multiple teams, on multiple different aspects. Miss
Yep.
our marketing queen, Miss Majsan Champagne. She's going to talk to us
Woo!
today about what she's done and how she's rebuilt it. And she
Yes.
has you guys, she's done it. And if you need inspiration, this woman has is one of the strongest women I know. All the things, all the stuff going on, and she's come here today to really be vulnerable with us and to really guide and help us be ready for what we need in 2026. Some people need a reboot. It might just be little. Some people need a big kick in the pants. And I feel like my son maybe kind of got that, but she has been rocking it so hard. So, my son, why don't you take it over and tell us a little bit about yourself and let's jump.
Sure. All right. Thank you so much, Cass. Jamie is our Director of Education. Jamie, did you have anything you wanted to add or do anything before we jump in?
No, I was going to give you a quick introduction, but Cass took care of that and did it beautifully. So
I
I
love it.
really appreciate that.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, gals, I am going to share my screen and I'm going to be completely open and vulnerable and honest with you that I'm trying to work off of two screens so that I can read my notes and also show you exactly what I am going to be discussing today. So, does everybody see the slide deck where it says, Welcome to your resilient rebuild?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You don't see the one that has my little notes on the bottom? We're looking good.
Looking
Perfect.
good.
All right, great. All right, so I'm so glad that all of you are here. I just want to start that off. I know that we are at the beginning of 2026. We're starting the year off strong. Some of us might have barely just squeaked by 2025. Some of us might be like Cass and just going full throttle since the end of last year. So I absolutely respect your time, and I'm so grateful that you have chosen to spend an hour's time with us today. So just wanted to take a minute there to thank you all for being here. All right, a quick request before we begin. This is a place for vulnerability and openness, ladies. Okay. We are all agreeing that there will be no judgment in this particular presentation, only open hearts, open minds. Okay. This framework is actually about 75% emotional growth and 25% real world tactical suggestions. There are sections in this that I have been working on that we could definitely dig deeper, but I have an hour's time and I had to squeeze a ton of information into less than 60 minutes. So please do understand that this is a very top level overview of a much deeper course. So as we begin, let's just all agree to be respectful of each other. I am here for it. I am here for your sharing. I am here for your positivity, for your fears, for your tears, for your crying, for your constructive criticism and your feedback for myself and for each other. I'm just really excited that we've all shown up here together to be here together. Okay. So as we begin, I'm going to start with one of my most favorite quotes because it has resonated with me throughout every stage of my life. And that quote is by Mary Oliver, who was a poet and a writer. And she wrote a poem. And part of the quote is, "What will you do with your one wild and precious life?" Okay, ladies, what are we going to do with our one wild and precious life? This is a little bit of a table of contents of what we will be covering today. So we'll talk a little bit about me and my background and what brought me to where I am today, because it's really important that we talk about the person who's actually giving the presentation and how they got to where they're getting. We'll talk about some principles that I have come up with to help us guide through this entire process, some very personal mistakes that I have made and learned from, and some victories that I've done as well, because we're all kind of a beautiful, glorious mess, right? We'll get radically truthful. If you are not ready to get truthful with yourself and the part that you play in your own mistakes and your rebuilding, we got to get there today, or at least start that process for you. We're going to talk about rebuilding yourself first and then rebuilding your business from the ground up, a little bit about identity and confidence, and then the forward vision of what your business wants to look like, feels like it should look like, maybe where you want to go. Okay. All right, here we go, ladies. A little bit about me. My name is Majsan. I am more than just a real estate agent. As you can see, I'm a mother. I'm a wife of, dear goodness, will be 20 years this year. I am an empath. That just means that I feel everything very, very deeply. I'm very much guided by emotions over logic, which drives my husband crazy because he is the opposite. I am an adventurer. I am a foodie. If anybody knows me, they know what my favorite food is. I do not hide it. It is cheese. I'm guided by kindness, integrity, accountability, and courage. There is nothing more personal to me than someone who holds me accountable to my actions, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I always take that from a place of kindness. So that's something that has been a core belief for myself. I have a background in special education, which gives me a little bit of a unique kind of perspective to different pieces, both as a person and a human and a woman and a wife and a mother and all those things, and also in a real estate transaction. It really helps me kind of with the psychology behind some of those emotional decisions and those logical decisions that are being made. And then I have been throughout my time, I've been head of a big retail business in the entire state of Rhode Island and Southeast Massachusetts. I've been a single mother working 5 jobs. I've been a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids at home. I have been a supportive wife of the breadwinner. My husband was the breadwinner for a lot of times. And I am currently the breadwinning real estate agent in my own personal family. So there's a lot of different things that make us who we are. And each of those pieces is actually super important and super vital. You can't look at yourself as just one thing. For a lot of years, I was defined by the fact that I was a mother. And in fact, I've been a mother for way longer than I have not been a mother. My oldest child just turned 26. So the fact that I had him and I was pregnant when I was 19, do the math. I have been a mother first for way more years than I was allowed to just be my son. But that does not mean that that is all that I am, and that's all I can be. So understanding that and understanding that each piece of the puzzle adds up to the greater you is really going to be foundational in building a business or rebuilding a business from the ground up. Okay. All right, so we've agreed already to be vulnerable. We've agreed already that we're going to be open-minded and open-hearted. It's important there because this entire process might touch on things for you that are personal and painful. They might be exciting and fun. You might be building a business right now for the first time in the real estate space, or perhaps you're building on one, moving different marketplaces like I did. I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast and I started all over. Perhaps you made a change. Perhaps you decided to go from a solo agent to a team agent, or you went from a team agent to a solo agent, or you brought on some help, or you changed a dynamic. All of this is important because you're really going to pull on all of these pieces, every single piece of you, in order to build a bigger business that is more beautiful for yourself. This course is not about bouncing back from something negative. It's about building forward in a much stronger, wiser, and unshakable form. Okay, here we go. Oh, jeepers. I swear to goodness. All right, so these are my credentials. So it's important, again, to talk about the different credentials and how I got to where I am and the pieces that shaped me. So once again, single mom at 19, not necessarily by choice, but it's what I did. And I always tell people it is the best thing that ever happened to me. The absolute best thing, and I wouldn't change it for the world. It was really freaking hard to be the good girl in a family who automatically showed everybody that she wasn't necessarily the princess that everybody thought she was. But it really shaped me. And either you're spiritual, you believe in God, or you don't. But I was sent what I could handle. And I learned at a very young age that I could handle a lot. And keeping a human alive, probably the most important thing I've ever done. So, and I've kept 3 alive, and none of them are serial killers yet. So that's really, really good. In 2000, because I was tired of thinking that now as a single mother, I was going to have to rely on government assistance and I was going to go nowhere and I was just going to live with my parents for the rest of my life, I followed my mother into a career in special education. And I worked in a private setting with children from the ages of 5 to 17 at first. And then I moved into a private setting where I visited like early intervention 5 to 7-year-old homes and I helped them do some behavioral therapy. And then I was really, really lucky enough to get to work with my mother in a middle school from 5th grade to 8th grade and work with a lot of those kids. And it was really a passion for me, but I also understood that there was things I could do better. So I learned how to restructure my life. And with the help of some really supportive people, I went back to college. I did not go to college right out of high school. Again, knocked up, pregnant. I went to college, and that was with the help of my husband, who was the full-time breadwinner. And I wouldn't have done it without the push, honestly. I didn't want to go to school. Who wants to go for more college at 19 and 20 and 21 with a baby at home? Didn't want to do it, but I did it. And it was really difficult and really rewarding. And you don't have to have an additional schooling, but I'm always a person who is not happy here. So when you look through the lens of how far can you go, I always want to go further. And what I could learn in college would help me in the real world. The biggest thing that shook my foundation was when my mother died in 2008. It was unexpected. It happened at her place of business. And if you recall, she was a teacher. So it happened at school. That was a giant, earth-shattering, major change in my life that had me reevaluate some very personal relationships and some very professional relationships, and realizing for the first time that life is finite. We do not know how much time we have on this planet. We do not know the impact that we will have on ourselves and each other. And it's really important to me to make sure that I leave this planet as a better person. And that was probably the most shakable thing that really rocked me to my core. And to be quite honest, I still have slide backs to that time. It was very traumatic for me as, a daughter and a mother and a sister and all of those things. So going through difficult things, they're not always professional. Sometimes they are personal and they will throw you for a loop. The only thing you can do is grieve through it, learn through it, move through it, feel it, and keep going. Don't stop. It's really, really important. It's okay if you fall backwards. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to make fools of ourselves. That's part of being human. You've got to keep going. Okay. During this time, I was practicing real estate off and on the East Coast. I don't know if any the rest of you were doing real estate in 2006, 7, 8, but it was a firestorm and terrible, right? It was the recession. It was the time of, broken pipes and stolen copper, and people were losing their homes and losing their jobs. And it was really terrible. And that was the first time I ever quit anything in my life. We were licensed for 3 years. And when it came time to re-up my license, I just said, peace out. No thanks. Don't want to work this hard. This is terrible. I don't want to do it. And I didn't. And I didn't do it again until we moved out here to the West Coast. So my family and I relocated to Washington State in 2015. It was once again, my husband was the breadwinner. It was with his job. I was a stay-at-home mom at this point. I had 2 kids. I had graduated from college. I had gone through an entire career in retail and had been laid off when I was pregnant. There was a lot of things that happened. And I thought that I was going to be able to be a stay-at-home mom until my youngest daughter hit kindergarten. That was the verbal contract. But tech companies don't care about you. And my husband was laid off a year after we landed. So mama had to go back to work, right? And so the first thing I did was found a female owned small business. I made custom molded earplugs. Kind of a weird thing, but I was a recreational shooter, firearms shooter. I became a firearms instructor, and I realized the need for custom molded earplugs for people with really tiny, tiny ears. And I lucked into an incredible contract with Oculus/Facebook. I helped them develop their Oculus Quest by making earplugs in thousands and thousands of people's ear. It was great. It was a wonderful time. I met some wonderful people. I jumped back into real estate at that time, kind of following my husband in. And shortly after that, I joined a top performing real estate team in this area, in northern Seattle area. And I worked my way up to becoming the director of sales. And I loved my position. I loved helping the people on my team grow themselves. I loved training. I loved networking. I loved selling houses and helping buyers and sellers achieve their real estate dreams. It was pretty crazy. I furthered my education again and became a managing broker. And in Washington State, what that means is I could now technically open up my own team if I wanted to, and I can manage other brokers and help other brokers. In fact, there are people on this Zoom that call me regularly for contract questions, or they ask me things, and I'm happy to do that because I'm always one-upping my education to help others. That's really a foundational piece for me. 2025, early 2025, I left my previous position on my previous team, and I became just a team agent on a local team up here. It was a traumatic change for me. It was really difficult to kind of start from scratch and start from new, I guess. And in the middle of all of that, my husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor. So it was the best kind of brain tumor that you could have. So of course, everybody's like, no worries, you can get that removed. You just move on. A pituitary tumor, it's not a big deal. And so that was what we all were going on. It was just going to be, we're going to go in, we're going to remove that sucker, and we're going to move forward. It's going to be fantastic. Wrong. Inoperable. That thing is the size of a D-sized battery, and it's continuing to grow. So now, on top of leaving a position on my previous team with people that I loved and adored and a business that I had helped build for 6 years, I'm now navigating a new world of, hey, my husband has a brain tumor, and that explains an awful lot, and this is where we have to go. So all of this is literally just to tell you there's been a lot of change in my life. I have had to rebuild myself and rebuild my family multiple times and in different areas. And it sucks. Like, truthfully and honestly, it sucks. Things change. I don't like change, but we learn something every single time and in every single stage of our life. Okay. All right, here we go. These are the principles that we're going to be covering today in the next 40 minutes. Number 1, radical honesty comes first, ladies. I cannot admit this and say this enough. We've got to be honest about ourselves in all aspects of ourselves and about our business. Okay. Loss is part of the process. There's going to be some painful moments in your life. It's part of the process. Accountability in all areas. We need accountability. We need to hold ourselves accountable, and we need to find someone to help hold us accountable, because this is hard and we can't do this alone. Collaboration is not weakness. Asking for help, getting help, that is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is actually a sign of strength. Being honest with your family. And I use the term family very loosely because sometimes we don't have a spouse or kids or parents or anything. Sometimes our family is our best friend. Sometimes our family is our dog. Sometimes our family is our spiritual connection to the church or anything like that. So when I say family, I mean that greater social circle that is your tight-knit support system. Your circle will shrink. Let it do that. And then also feel everything and move through it. It's not going to be graceful. I wanted to put that on there so bad. I wanted to say move through it with grace. It's not going to be graceful. It's going to be tough, ladies. All right. These are some of the mistakes that I made, and I'm not going to go over them one by one. I don't need to rehash them. You can certainly see them. The most important thing to know here is that silence is not strength. The amount of times that someone came to me, someone who loved me or cared about me, came to me and said, Majsan, how are you? And I said, I'm fine, everything's great. That is a freaking lie. And when you start lying to other people, you're also lying to yourself, and you're denying the people who love you and want to help you that opportunity to help you. So I challenge you all, the next time someone asks you, how you doing? Be honest. If nothing else, it will very quickly weed out the important people in your life who actually care and who are just asking that question because it makes them feel good. You certainly don't have to be mean. You don't have to be grumpy. You don't have to do any of those things. But if you are honest and open about what you're going through, that's where the growth happens. So I encourage you to do that. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. The first time somebody asks you, hey, how are you doing? And you pause and then you answer and it's the real truth. That's uncomfortable for both of you, and it helps you move forward. Okay. Do not isolate. That's something else I've done as well. I did not want my pain, my fear, my uncertainty of the future to negatively affect another person. I didn't want what happened to me that changed my life to negatively affect anybody else, so I isolated. Now, some isolation is important, right? You need to make sure you're protecting your time. You need to make sure as you're rebuilding a business, the things you funnel into are showing you a return on investment. However, if you isolate, you're just going to compound your pain and your grief and your suffering. It's no good. It's no good at all. The other piece is you're going to have to push hard, but I pushed too hard for too long without a break. That means I decided I was going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get things done. I was going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get things done. I was going to get up at 3:30 in the morning to get things done. Meanwhile, I was still going to bed at 11 o'clock at night. No one can live on 4 to 4.5 hours of sleep at night. Nobody can do it. So if you do not focus in on rest, nutrition, taking care of yourself through this process, your body's going to break. And it's going to break in the most inopportune times. So please make sure you're taking care of yourself and do not push yourself too hard without break. And that could just be prioritizing sleep. That could be picking one day off a week. That could be scheduling a vacation every 3 months or something. And that vacation could be a staycation. It could be 3 days at home by yourself on the couch. That's wonderful. I love to take a nap. I don't get to do them as much as I want, but that's my little break where I'm going to sleep on the couch and just take a nap. But it's really, really important that you don't push yourself to exhaustion, because you're not actually improving your success, you're limiting your success. Okay. So those are some mistakes that I made. However, I also did some really great stuff. So this is a picture of me. I took up drumming a couple of years ago. Not something I ever thought I would do, but something that I really, really enjoy. And this is a picture of me at a recital that I performed with my children. And it was ridiculous. I was the oldest person there, probably by about 35 years. And it was so much fun. So I showed up for myself. I stayed vulnerable and open. And when I made mistakes, I owned them. I allowed myself to grieve. That's really, really important. Although sometimes I still pushed it down, I understood that if I continued to push down, way back when I lost my mom, if I continued to push down that sadness and that fear of the change that had happened before I rebuilt my business, I was just going to keep that pain there forever. I showed up every single day. So I set myself a schedule. That's really important in your business, ladies. Most of us here are in real estate. A lot of us work from home, and it's really easy to like stay in your pajamas all day and like not put on a bra and like eat whenever you want. And I did 25 minutes of work. I'm done for the day. I showed up every single day. And I showed up every single day because I was showing up for myself. If I didn't do the work, I wasn't going to build the business, and then I wasn't going to be able to dig myself out of this terrible hole that I was in. Okay. And I didn't bash my past. That is really important. So I mentioned being vulnerable, embracing things, but I also didn't bash what happened. Things that happened, the negative things that happened, the change that happened in my life, it happened. I don't regret a single piece of it. I don't regret changes that happened. I don't regret being laid off or losing my position or, any of the things that happened. I learned from those. They shaped the person I am today. I always built back stronger. I learned from my mistakes. And when I rebuilt from a place of discernment, not from desperation. If you are desperate to build a business, which let's be honest, I've been desperate to build a business this year. That's all. I'm the only one bringing money into this house. If you do it with desperation, you're going to make mistakes. And we'll talk a little bit more of that. You need to make sure you're being very discerning about the things you say yes to, because every yes here is a no over here. Okay. So this isn't just about how I rebuilt a business. It really is about how I rebuilt myself from the inside out. And I'm not there, ladies. I don't think any of us have like reached nirvana and we're like, yay, we finally arrived. Like, no. All right, let's talk about getting radically truthful. This has been the most enlightening thing for me in all of my journeys. Okay. You have to get really radically truthful with yourself first. You need to own it. I made some really terrible mistakes. I either did too much or did too little, or I spent some effort and energy in places I shouldn't have. I kept quiet. I did not advocate for myself. I did all of these things that were my fault. I can't blame where I am on anybody else but me. So be really, really radically truthful with yourself. Do not sugarcoat it. Do not hide it. Do not say, oh, well, I did this because, no, no, no. I did this, period. Not because of this, not because she said that, not because he did that, not because the market did that. I did this. You might have reasons. They are not excuses. Okay. Get radically truthful with your circle. That is a glorious glamour shot, ladies. I don't know if any of you went to the mall and got glamour shots when you were in high school, but that's myself and my bestie, Kim. We've been best friends / sisters since I was 5. and she came to my backyard and tried to give me a really like fuzzy candy cane in July. So be really radically truthful with your circle. You need to make sure that you are open and honest with people. They might not know how to help you. They might not know what to say. They might not physically be able to do anything for you, but they can be there and they want to be there. And they're the people who love you, they're going to help you separate those facts from the fear. They're going to help you through your grief. They're going to help you through the building process. They're actually going to have some advice for you that you might never have thought of. My friend and I are in two different businesses. I'm in real estate. She works with old people and hard of hearing. I think she's a office manager. I don't know. But she's done like a million other things. She's been a vet tech. She's done all these things. She's never owned her own business. She's never done anything like that. But she has certain viewpoints that I would never have. So make sure you get really radically truthful with your circle and your friends and allow them to help you. And then this is the juicy one, get radically truthful with your business. You need to conduct a very honest business audit. And that means where are you spending money? Where are you spending time? And what is your return on investment? Okay. If you are attending 17 masterminds a day, but not doing actually any business, you need to figure out where to change that, because those masterminds are great. They're going to help you learn. They're going to do that, but eventually you're going to have to put that into practice, right? Maybe all you're doing is cold calling people, but you're not getting any business. Is that the right place to spend your time? Right? We need to prioritize our workflow and our obligations. We all wear a million hats. We need to figure out what's important and where to spend that time and how to do that. And we need to figure out what worked for us historically, what isn't working for us historically, what do we want to try, who can we lean on to try that, and who can help us. Okay, because I can tell you that there are some people in this particular marketplace right here in the Zoom that have done amazing things that I have never even tried, and I would go to them first. YouTube, Instagram, classes, some crazy business plan that works for them that I've never done it, but if I need to do it, I'm going to figure out who to talk to, and I'm going to use those people because they are the real world knowledge. Okay. So this is just a little bit more about rebuilding yourself. It all starts with you. Yeah, you're going to lose people. That's, to be honest, the most painful part for me. I can always get more business. I can always find new clients. I can find another team if I want to join another team. I could go solo if I wanted to go solo. The losing of the friendship and the colleagues that I thought I had has been the absolute most painful piece of this entire process. Like heart wrenching. That is the thing that has kept me up at night. That is the thing that makes me cry still. That's the most difficult piece. You're also going to alienate people because as you change, as you grow and you realize, oh gosh, I was allowing this. I don't actually believe in that or like that or trust that. And you start behaving in a different way, you're going to lose people naturally as well. And you might love those people, but you got to move forward. That doesn't mean you have to get rid of them. You don't put them in the trash, but life changes. They might put you in the trash, girlfriends, but you are not trash. You just don't fit in their life right now. And that's okay. You might again. That's totally fine. You're going to see some really uncomfortable truths that maybe you were blind to. You're going to see some lies. You're going to see the lies that you told yourself, right? You just have to get really super real with yourself emotionally, business-wise, financially. Do that really deep business audit. How have you been living and can you afford that still? And if you can't, you got to fix it. And you got to fix it now. Cut out the subscriptions, cut out the extra things, the eating out, the driving around gas, cut out the coffees outside the house, cut out the weekly happy hour with girlfriends, cut out the dates, cut out all that stuff because you got to strip it down. And that's where it starts. And that's also what we're going to talk about in the business piece. The other piece is I believe in the power of positive thinking. That can also sabotage you and delay you. If you are just saying it's fine, everything's fine, and you're not actually getting to the root of the problem, you're not really addressing anything, ladies. You're not really fixing anything. You're just kind of muscling yourself through. So these are some ways to rebuild yourself. We've all seen them. Sleep, hydration, good food, not shitty food. Let's be honest. I love potato chips, but that's really terrible for you. Some kind of exercise. I am not a fanatic. I don't go to the gym. Shoot me if I had to do that. But getting out and moving your body, you only get one of them. Just do something, some kind of self-reflection. Some people like meditation, some people like journaling, some people just like gabbing with friends. Do some kind of that. What is not a way to rebuild yourself, ladies? Talking crap about other people. We don't rebuild ourselves by bringing other people down. So don't get out there and participate in the rumor mills. Do not feed that fire. There's going to be enough of that as you're going through your change. You don't need to feed any of it. Don't drink to excess. Don't eat to excess. Don't do drugs to numb the pain. Don't do anything that's going to pull you down and change your mental clarity. It's really, really hard, but don't do that. I was once 330 pounds. Food is my drug. And I know that I will fall back to that very carefully. Don't use it as a crutch. And the other piece, and we're all guilty of it, doom scrolling. I can't emphasize this enough. Personal beliefs, politics, family dynamics. If you start looking at that stuff online, that's the stuff that's going to keep popping up in your social media feed, right? So if you're sad and you're upset and you're seeing all these quotes about my friends left me and I'm going to burn my business down and everybody hates me, that's what's going to keep coming. Erase that crap. Get back to the positivity, take a little social media break, use it to build your business and don't actually surf on there. Do what you got to do. Get off the doom scrolling. Okay, that's not a way to rebuild yourself and it's only going to hurt you. All right, let's get to some tactical stuff. How do we rebuild our business? Okay, these are a couple of principles here. Accountability in all areas and collaboration is not weakness. So, number one, do not rebuild alone. Okay. It's counterintuitive. If you're changing business models, or you're going from a team to a solo agent, or you're changing marketplaces, or you're just becoming an agent for the first time, something catastrophic has changed that, you're hesitant to trust others with any piece of yourself or your business. It feels very counterintuitive to allow anybody else into your circle. But that is where the power is. Okay. Do not rebuild alone. Focus on people. I really dug into this Women of Real group. I had some major support systems from women across the country. Like they're not even in my marketplace. They never would have known me except through this group. And they checked in every once in a while. Or I texted somebody when I saw an amazing video that they did. Or they texted me and said, hey, Majsan, tell me about this little snippet thing, or tell me about your love of cheese or something. Do not rebuild your life alone. Find a support system. That could be an accountability partner. That can be just a really close friend that you trust. Talk to somebody about how to come back from a change and how to build forward better. It's really, really important. Rebuilding alone is not strength. It's actually just ego. I can do it on my own. I don't need anybody else's help. That's just ego. We all need somebody else's help. The people that we see that are doing the most business, the most successful, they're not doing it alone. They have help. Make sure you ask for help there. Okay. Find a mentor and accountability partner. Choose wisely. Your accountability partner, your mentor, should challenge you. They should be holding you accountable and they should be celebrating you when you succeed, and they should be calling you on your crap when you fall back, because growth is not linear. We're not doing this, ladies. This isn't what we're doing. We're doing this. Woo! Like the amount of times I have fallen backward in this past year or in other times of rebuilding, it is mortifyingly embarrassing. And I have had accountability partners and I have had people that have called me on my baloney And it's hard. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes to have somebody call you and say, hey, my son, do I have your permission to be honest? Oh, buckle up, baby. Yes. Yes. And nobody likes to hear it. And if you take that with the kindness and the love from where it came from and you use it to move forward, that is how you build. And that is where the growth is. Okay. You need to do some systems. KISS, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Find some systems. It doesn't have to be an elaborate, crazy system, but find something that works. Establish those systems and stick with a plan and stick with them for a while. The worst thing that I see is people are like, hey, in January, I'm trying this. Oh, that didn't work. February, I'm trying this. Oh, that didn't work. March, I'm trying this. Oh, that didn't work. One of the best pieces of advice that I got growing up was if you take a job, you are committing to that job for a year. And it's terrible and it's hard. And it's really important that you get what you can from that job. Now, there's abuse, there's neglect, there's unethical things that happen. Those are kind of the outliers. But don't establish a system and then abandon it in a week because it didn't work. Most of these things, especially in real estate, take time. They take time and they take effort and they take a little tweaking. Don't toss it in the garbage. Okay. Let's see. All right. Growth requires humility and courage in equal measure. We know that. Choose alignment over shortcuts. That's really hard too because we want the quick fix, right? We really, really want that. That's important when we're talking about something like joining a team. I don't know how many of us have been on a real estate team, but they're expensive to be a part of, right? We really have to be careful about the contracts that we sign when we join a team. What are the splits? What are we getting from them? Has the team leader actually done the things that we want to do or achieve the things that we want to achieve? Is the team leader open and honest? Is the support system within the team really, really there for you or just the team leader? Right? Read those contracts. Anytime you're jumping to a new team or you're discerning from a new team, really dive into those contracts. Ask somebody for help looking at that. Make sure that you really deep dive into that because it's important. The amount of money that you spend on a team can make or break you. Okay.
I'm gonna take my headphones. I'm gonna kill her.
Somebody's getting their headphones. All right. So this is where I'm going to look for a little bit of collaboration here. Okay. I put a few things here. How do I rebuild the business, right? Because this is probably why most of us are here. The touchy-feely stuff is great, but how do I actually do it, right? How do I do it? Rebuilding alone, we talked about that, is not strength, it's ego. You need to find the mentor. You need to find the accountability partner. You need to find somebody or something to help you get through. Those strong foundations survive even the worst storms, right? Another thing that I learned about is if you have existing clients, if you've done some sales in the past, now is the time, if you don't already have some kind of client follow-up, to develop it. And that does not mean once a year, Merry Christmas, who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. No, that's desperate. That's gross. Nobody wants your Merry Christmas on Christmas Day message if they haven't heard from you all year, right? That means coming up with some kind of strategic implementable plan. If you've got one client, 5 clients, or 500 clients, something you can do consistently, if not every month, every quarter, to stay top of mind. Because if you take a real hard look at your past clients and how many of them have done business with someone else, once again, that's not on them, that's on you. They forgot, somebody else grabbed them at an open house, something changed. They're also your biggest source of referral business. So I just got a phone call from a client that I helped that was a referral in from an agent I met at Real 4 years ago. I helped him buy a home 2 years ago. I have just followed up, just kept in touch. And he called me because he's like, there's not a single other person. I've lived in all these other places. I would never refer another agent to somebody other than you. Can you help my friend? That's all because I've kept in touch genuinely. How are you? How is your wife? How is your baby? Not even a single thing about who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in 2026. Like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about them as people because real estate is a relationship business, not a numbers business. Okay. Really dial into your sphere of influence. I don't know about you ladies, but that was the grossest thing for me to do when I got licensed. And I was with a different brokerage, and the first thing they told me to do was to call all of my friends and family and tell them I was a real estate agent. And it felt awful. Like it felt so gross. When I did this recent change, the first thing I did after getting out of bed from crying for several days was call, text, and email every single one of my family members and say, hey, I changed teams. This is my new contact information. This is a little bit of excitement about what's going on in my life. Please just keep me in mind. And if you want to write a Google review or you want to, put me on your social media or anything like that, I am here for it. If you do not ask for help, help will not show up. Okay. Now, that does not mean that you need to ask like your estranged stepmother that you haven't talked to for 16 years, but do talk to your dad and your brother and your best friend and those kinds of people. Like it's really important. We're not secret agents. We're out there in the forefront of everybody. Okay. The other two things that I did that really helped my business is I joined some local networking groups. I've historically kind of shied away from things like the Chamber of Commerce or Toastmasters or things like that. But I found a couple of really hyper local neighborhood programs that I was passionate about. Not things that were huge and that were going to take a long time from my day because I really had to focus on business. But I found one or two things that I could commit to, and then I showed up consistently even when I was tired, even when I didn't feel good. And it wasn't about me when I was there, it was about everybody else. Okay. So find something like that. Find something hyper local or another group that you really love. I love this Women of Real group. We get referrals back and forth to each other all of the time. Find something you're passionate about and invest in it. It's really about you because you're fueling your soul, but you're there for other people. Open houses, if that's your jam, do those open houses, but do them all in. That does not mean just say, I'm doing an open house and show up and do nothing. That's prospecting. That's doing all those pieces. Now, I know open houses can be controversial in some places, so do it safely, do it smartly, and there are tons of courses on that. I've done them to some pretty high levels as well, but there's other people that do it even better than I do. Okay. Here's what we don't do. We don't bash our life. Remember, we talked about that. We don't bash our prior business. We don't bash our prior team. We don't bash our prior partners. We don't go out there and say negative things about people. There's enough of that out there. The truth is out there. You don't need to add to any negativity. If you can't help it, please try not to pay for leads. Leads are expensive. And I don't know how many of you have paid for leads, Zillow, Redfin, other leads in the past. They're very expensive. And in this day and age, they don't always turn around. So if you can help it, try not to. If you have to, hey, there's no judgment. I've done it. We've all done it. Okay. And then the other piece is taking your foot off the gas. Yes, rest, but never stop. Never stop. Believe in yourself. Keep going. It's really, really important to just keep going. And when you don't think you can keep going, you ask one of us for some validation, and we're going to help you keep going. So, who else has an idea about how to rebuild your business? Who else has done it? What has worked for you? I want to hear it.
I think by reaching out, like somebody you follow on social media or see a lot, based on kind of what you're doing, or may has one or two agents. And it's hard to talk to an agent that runs like, let's say a 20 or 30 plus team, unless that's what you're looking to do. But everybody's got to start one agent at a time, right? So I would say just even starting with in a group like ours, is there an agent out that's looking to do the same thing? And maybe that you can work together especially if you're in different areas. So I would say looking around and see who's, kicking butt, or has one or two agents to start slow. Cause like I said, it's like, again, it's hard to follow somebody, somebody who has 20, 30 people. That's a whole different mindset and setup. So I would say look for like-minded.
Mhm. That's really, really good, Patricia. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. A like-minded partner to collaborate with, um, that can really help in different ways, right? Nobody's exactly the same, but like-minded people with different opinions and ideas, that can go far.
Very, very true. I'd also say that we can learn something from other people that are a little different from us, right? But don't get crazy. Don't get crazy. What else, ladies? I see, Amy, I see your comment in the chat there that I'm just catching up on. Be careful who you trust when you decide to collaborate. Oh, that is so true. Oh my good golly, friend. Um, some people who are going to come back into your life, or some people who are going to show up during this time in your life, they're not there to help you. They are there for the tea. They want to know the gossip. They want to know the things that they can spread to others. So that is so, so true. Anybody else?
I think a lot of the things that you've said today, my son, have definitely resonated with me. As we grow, as we change, they say you're a new person, and a different person than you were 10 years ago. And you notice who does or doesn't fit into your life anymore. And it's not always a bad thing. Like people are in your life at certain points to teach you something. They might only be there for a short time. Like I've definitely struggled with some friendships because I work way too much and they just don't understand like where I am in my life when they're doing other things. And, being honest with ourselves too about that type of stuff that like sometimes, and I've said this to my husband, that sometimes friends are just friends of convenience because they want something from you. It's a one-way friendship or it's a one-way collaboration, Amy, like you're saying. It's they want something, you're going to do all the work because they know you're going to do all the work, or they just, as soon as they get what they want, they go on their way. And identifying those once you identify those, understanding kind of what you're in for or saying, no, I'm done, I think is very powerful and standing your ground. And, we have, as realtors, we have a lot going on, and sometimes we just have to say no. And no is a full sentence and it's an okay sentence as long as if you're setting your boundaries.
Mhm. That is so, so powerful. And I I'm not intending to play the sexism card here, but we as women are conditioned to say yes to everything, right? And I remember when I first got back into real estate out here and we picked our word of the year, and I had never heard of a word of the year before. Like real estate brings out some wacky ladies. And my word of the year was yes. And I said yes to everything, every opportunity. And I remember someone very clearly asking me, if you say yes to everything, how are you protecting yourself? Well, that was my season of growth. And I had no choice. And I was going to get dressed and I was going to show up to the office. And if someone needed a showing partner, I was going to say yes. And if somebody needed somebody to run and get a lockbox off a house, I was going to say yes. And if somebody needed an open house, I was going to say yes. And that's what got me to where I am today in my ability and my discernment and willingness to say no. Because sometimes when you say yes here, you're pulling away from the real focus over here and you're helping somebody in a way that maybe you shouldn't or don't want to or whatever. But as women, especially, how many times have we ended up in a dangerous situation because we didn't want to say no and we didn't want to look mean and we didn't want to whatever, right? Be careful how you say yes and who you say yes to. That's such a good point, Cass. All right, gals, we got 5 minutes left for me to squeeze in just a little bit more. Are we ready? Okay, here we go. Let me minimize this again. Identity and confidence. Ooh, okay. We talked about being honest with your family and your circle will shrink. Let it. This is the pain point. Okay. Your family is your greatest support system. the best thing that I have ever done in my life is being open and honest and vulnerable with my family. Okay. And that means my kids. Like, I have that 26-year-old that doesn't live with me anymore, that just got married, and I haven't seen him in 3 years because he lives in Japan. Honest with him. And I have a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old. My sweet, sweet, precious babies, my 12-year-old daughter who will cut someone, and my 13-year-old son who's like baby Huey. But I have been absolutely honest with every single piece of this. And I will be very brutally honest with you, ladies. All of this change has hurt them too. They have lost friends. They have lost support systems. They have felt betrayed by what they have seen their mother go through. And they have felt empowered. They have a mom that keeps showing up. Yes, some days I cry. Yes, some days I have a mental breakdown. Yes, some days I eat the friggin' potato chips from the bag in my car and I put it away and I show up. So your family is your greatest support system. They want to help you. They want to support you. They want to protect you. Sometimes their protection is wacky, y'all. Sometimes their protection is wacky and you don't agree with it, but they're doing their best. But let them help you. Don't put on a brave face and try to hide it. They know you're struggling and now you're just lying to them. Okay. Your circle is going to shrink. You're going to lose some people. You're going to grow out of some people. The most important thing here on this slide right here is this truth bomb. It's going to hurt like hell. It's absolutely going to tear you up because, again, you can rebuild a business. My goodness, you can find new clients. You can help sell houses. You know how to do your job. You've gotten this far. You know how to advocate for your clients. We don't always know how to advocate for ourselves, and that's going to hurt. But you need to allow your circle to shrink. If they love you, they will be there for you when you resurface. Okay? This isn't really a loss. It's a refinement. You're taking care of yourself. Okay? For goodness sakes, cry. Be angry. Be angry. Be resentful. Feel it. Like, seriously, go through the emotions. And then breathe. Learn gratitude. Move forward. This is the move forward with grace. Even if you have to throw a coffee cup and break a thing or two, that's okay. The rebuilding hurts. It's painful. It's going to test you. And the work you are putting in personally is going to translate to a bigger, more beautiful business. Trust me. Trust the process. Trust me. Okay. You didn't lose your confidence. It was shaken. You're not getting your confidence back. You're building a brand new one from scratch. You're reclaiming your voice. You're learning how to advocate for yourself. You're learning how to have fierce conversations. You're speaking your truth without needing permission. You're separating who you are from what happened to you that led you to this place, okay? And you're leading from your scars, not your wounds. When we react from our wounds, from that bleeding open orifice that still hurts, that's when we break things. That's when we say things we shouldn't. That's when we hide. When you allow it to heal and to scar, that's where the real power is. Okay. All right. The forward vision, again, reclaim your voice shamelessly. Feel those things. Design a future that excites you. Your business is not going to look like my business, is not going to look like Cass's business, is not going to look like Emily's business, is not going to look like Cindy's business. Everybody's business is different, just like Lizzie said. You can learn from people. Design a future that excites you. Don't do this because she did this and this is what he said you need to do and this is how you do it and this is how it's always been done. Build it in a way that actually makes you want to show up. That's how you actually build that stronger business. Don't do what everybody tells you you should do because that doesn't feel authentic and that's not actually going to work for you. Okay. This isn't a glow up, ladies. It's a rebuild. Okay. And we are rebuilding stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. We're all going to get shooken. We're all going to get shaken. We're all going to shake. It's how we come back from that. Okay. It's going to happen, and that's okay. We're building something that no one can ever take from you again. And it's built with you at the core. Okay. It's built on truth, deep, deep truth with yourself. It's built on courage because, man, you women are brave. So brave. I see you. I see every single one of you. I see you on socials. I see you when you post your successes. I see you when you post your struggles. I see it. And that takes bravery to own it. Seriously. This is built on integrity. Once again, be honest with yourself, own your crap, and also don't tolerate any crap. Don't tolerate the gossip. Don't tolerate the resentment. Don't tolerate this she said, he said crap. We don't do that anymore. We love ourselves and we love our people, and we live in integrity with every piece of it. Okay. This becoming story is built on rest. We take care of ourselves. Take care of ourselves first so we can take care of the others in our life. That is so, so important, ladies. Please take care of yourselves. I love you. And this world would be darker without you. Take care of yourself. Okay. And it's built on discernment. Don't say yes to everything, even though I did and it helps me. That's okay. That's a different story. Choose your yeses wisely and choose your nos wisely. And like Cass said, no is a complete sentence. End of story. Period. Okay. That is it. I only went 2 minutes over. This is me. Scan that little thingy that goes to my blink. That's also my direct cell phone number. That's my direct email number, not my business email number. So if any of you ever want to chat, there's a lot more that I didn't get to talk about just for time constraints. I'm really, really passionate about helping people grow their business and grow their lives. And I have a lot more tactical stuff. So if you want to talk through tactical stuff on actually how to do some of like the open houses and who do I call and, how do I follow up and what does your follow-up program look, all of that, I am happy to do that. And gals, reach out to these women here. Okay. Every single one of them does business differently, and we're all powerful together. Please, please, please reach out to each other. We're here for each other in all ways, shapes, or forms. And then I know that Cass and Patricia and Lizzie wanted to do a little bit of plug in the things that are coming up, and Jamie as well. So Jamie, I don't know if you want to talk about the all hands meeting that we have coming up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So if everybody has my info, this is your last opportunity. Go ahead, Jamie.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. There was a lot there that I know everyone got something from, even myself, especially the part about being silent, because I am that person that will be silent. So I will start speaking up. What I wanted to let everyone know is that we're going to have our upcoming first session of Women of Real Moms. It's going to be Thursday, January 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern. I believe that would be, oh gosh, 1 p.m. Central and
Mhm.
doing my time, 11
12
p.m.
Pacific.
Pacific, because I know we're all across there. So we hope that you will join us for that. There's going to be an incredible speaker lined up talking about time management for moms. That's something that I know I definitely need to work on myself. So I'll be there and hope to see some of you there as well. And then Cass or Patricia, did you all want to speak about the all hands?
Our all hands meeting.
Oh, I can jump in. Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
anybody who is a woman of real, if you're a state or a market leader, we are going to be having an all hands call here on the 21st. We will get everything, all the details out to everybody, but we're just going to kind of talk about what's going on, what we're looking forward to here in 2026 and beyond. And so we are going to ask all of our state leaders and our market leaders to join the council, and we're going to chat a little bit about all the cool things you can get involved with and see how things are going for you and how we can help this year.
And if you're interested in becoming a state rep, please reach out to one of us and we'll touch and get you plugged in. So
Awesome, guys. Well,
thank you. That was great,
my
my son.
son.
I'm not
That
crying,
was
you are.
fantastic.
Thank
Big
you.
hand to my son.
Thanks for everybody for
Thank
coming,
you so much.
and we will see y'all next month. We got some really cool things coming up on that. Jamie, that was what do we have next month? Oh my God, my brain hurts.
Forgot. What's next month?
Here we are. It's the 7th or the 8th of January, and I
I'm
don't know
losing
what's
my
going on.
mind.
We'll have something cool. Watch the Women of Real group either in Work
We'll
Vivo or
post
Facebook,
it.
and we'll post it.
First Thursday of every month. We know that, 12 Central.
All
So
right.
look for the information.
All right, guys. Have a
Thanks,
lovely
ladies.
rest of your day. Have a rock star week. Go kill it in 2026, and we're here for you. Have a fabulous time.
Bye, guys.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.